Shalom, shalom. Peace be with you, peace be upon you. We are the Ministry of the Real Truth, and today we are bringing you a very interesting book, the Gospel of Judas. We have skipped all the introduction and all the yada to get to the meat and the potatoes. You can read all prior to the actual gospel in your own time, at your own leisure. We can leave a link to this book below this video. The Gospel of Judas, Introduction, Incipit. The secret account of the revelation that Jesus spoke in conversation with Judas Iscariot during a week, 3 days before he celebrated Passover. Now don't forget, keep in mind that this is a Gnostic book. Hidden knowledge, knowing, etc. It may be deemed as pseudepigrapha, which means that they can pinpoint when it was actually written, but they can't pinpoint who exactly wrote it. They can't pinpoint the original author. Introduction, Incipit. The secret account of the revelation that Jesus spoke in conversation with Judas Iscariot during a week, 3 days before he celebrated Passover. And it has numbers which are footnote indications. 1. Treatise, discourse, word, Coptic from Greek logos. The opening of the text may also be translated to read, the secret revelatory word, or the secret explanatory word. A substantial number of words of Greek derivation are included in the Coptic text of the Gospel of Judas as loan words. 2. Declaration, exposition, statement, Coptic from Greek. Can't really see that. In his refutation of all heresies, 6:9:4-1 to 18:7. Hippolytus of Rome cites another work attributed to Simon Magus that employs the same Greek term in its title. Greek revelation or declaration, exposition or statement. Simon Magus was the guy that went up against Peter, and he used levitation or something, and he could fly, and Peter says, oh, this is some sort of trick. He prayed to God. He says, if this is a trick, God, satanic, demonic, or whatever, then make him come crashing to the ground. So he did. He broke his legs, apparently, and then the people were like, poo-pooed him. Gave him a hard time. The incipit or opening of the present text reads the secret account of the revelation of Jesus or the like. The titular subscript, the Gospel of Judas, is found at the end of the text. 3. Literally during 8 days, probably intended to indicate a week. 4. Or perhaps, much less likely, 3 days before his passion. The Gospel of Judas chronicles events described as taking place over a short period of time leading up to the betrayal of Jesus by Judas. In the New Testament, compare Matthew 21:1-26, 56, Mark 11:1-14, and 51-14, 52, Luke 19:28-22:53, John 12:12-18:11. When Jesus appeared on earth, he performed miracles and great wonders for the salvation of humanity. And since some walked, they're not too sure what that word is, so I guess that's in parenthesis, in the way of righteousness, while others walked in their transgressions, or their sins. The 12 disciples were called. On the calling of the 12 disciples, it's got a reference there to compare Matthew 10:1-4, Mark 3:13-19, Luke 6:12-16. When Jesus appeared on earth, he performed miracles and great wonders for the salvation of humanity. And since some walked in the way of righteousness, while others walked in their transgressions, the 12 disciples were called. He began to speak with them about the mysteries beyond the world and what would take place at the end. Often he did not appear to his disciples as himself, but he was found among them as a child. Sahidic, Coptic, which we take as a form of the Baharic Coptic word child, much less likely in the possibility that the particular word may be a form of the Baharic. Again, use the magnifying glass to see this because it's so small. Read that again. Sahidic Coptic, Herot, which we take as a form of the Baharic Coptic word Herot, child. Much less likely is the possibility that Herot may be a form of the Baharic Coptic word Borft. Let's take a C. It's really hard to get that one. Apparition of Jesus appearing as a child. Compare Secret Book of John, Nag Hammadi Codex 2, Revelation of Paul 18, Hippolytus of Rome, Refutation of all heresies 642.2, where Hippolytus reports a story that the word or logos appeared to Valentinus as a child. Gospel of Thomas 4 on Jesus appearing as an apparition. Compare the Acts of John, the second discourse of Great Seth, and the Nag Hammadi Revelation of Peter. And 5, literally training or practicing the piety, Coptic, partly from Greek, etc., etc. Compare 1 Timothy 4:7. He began to speak with them about the mysteries beyond the world and what would take place at the end. Often he did not appear to his disciples as himself, but he was found among them as a child. One day he was with his disciples in Judea, and he found them gathered together and seated in pious observance. When he approached his disciples, he gathered together and seated and offering a prayer of thanksgiving over their bread, he laughed. The disciples said to him, Master, why are you laughing at our prayer of thanksgiving? What we have done is right. He answered and said to them, I am not laughing at you. You are not doing this because of your own will, but because it is through this that your God will be praised. They said, Master, you are the Son of our God. Jesus said to them, How do you know me? Truly I say to you, no generation of the people that are among you will know me. When his disciples heard this, they started getting angry and infuriated and began blaspheming against him in their hearts, or in their minds. When Jesus observed their lack of understanding, he said to them, Why has this agitation led you to anger? Your God who is within you, and not really sure what that word is, perhaps his powers or the like, have provoked you to anger within yourselves. Let any one of you who is strong enough among human beings bring out the perfect human to stand before my face. They all said, We have the strength. But the spirits did not dare to stand before him. Here and elsewhere in the text, spirit apparently means living being. Compare Gospel of Judas 43 and 53. He was able to stand. But the spirits did not dare to stand before him, except for Judas Iscariot. He was able to stand before him, but he could not look him in the eyes, and he turned his face away. Judas said to him, I know who you are and where you have come from. You are from the immortal realm of Babel, and I am not worthy to utter the name of the one who sent you. In the Gospel of Judas, it is Judas himself who provides the true confession of who Jesus is. To confess that Jesus is from the immortal realm, or eon, this era, age, or immeasurable period, of Babel, is to profess in Sethian terms that Jesus is from the divine realm above and is the Son of God. In Sethian text, Babel is the divine mother of all, who often is said to be the form thought, pronoia, of the Father, the Infinite One. The name of Babel seems to be based on a form of the Tetragrammaton, the holy four-letter name of God within Judaism, and apparently comes from Hebrew. Perhaps God, compare L and B-4 Abba. For presentations of Babel in Sethian literature, see Secret Book of John, level 4-5, Holy Book of the Great Invisible Spirit, also known as the Egyptian Gospel, Nag Hammadi Codex 3, 42, 62, 69, to Zostrianos, and so forth. Jesus speaks to Judas privately. Knowing that Judas was reflecting upon something that was exalted, Jesus said to him, "Step away from the others, and I shall tell you the mysteries of the kingdom." Or reign, that is the kingdom of, or reign of God. It is possible for you to reach it, but you will grieve a great deal. For someone else will replace you in order that the 12 disciples may again come to completion with their God. Judas said to him, "When will you tell me these things? And when will the great day of light dawn for the generation?" But when he said this, Jesus left him. Scene 2. Jesus appears to the disciples again. The next morning after this happened, Jesus appeared to his disciples again. They said to him, "Master, where did you go, and what did you do when you left us?" Jesus said to them, "I went to another great and holy generation." His disciples said to him, "Lord, what is a great generation that is superior to us and holier than us, that is not now in these realms?" When Jesus heard this, he laughed and said to them, "Why are you thinking in your hearts about the strong and holy generation? Truly, I say to you, no one born of this eon, of this age, era, will see that generation, and no host of angels of the stars will rule over that generation, and no person of mortal birth can associate with it, because that generation does not come from," and they're not too sure of what that word is, "which has become," in parenthesis again, they're not too sure what it is, "the generation of people among you is from the generation of humanity, power, which the other powers by which you rule." When his disciples heard this, they each were troubled in spirit. They could not say a word. Another day Jesus came up to them. They said to him, "Master, we have seen you in a vision, for we have had great dreams." Possibly at night. He said, "Why have you, when you have gone into hiding?" The disciples see the temple and discuss it. And it continues. So we try and get to the part where Judas betrays him. And he tells him. Okay, Judas asked Jesus about that generation and human generations. Oh, this is strange. Judas said, "Master, as you have listened to all of them," the disciples, "now also listen to me, for I have seen a great vision." When Jesus heard this, he laughed and said to him, "You 13th spirit, why do you try so hard? But speak up, and I shall be with you." Judas said to him, "In the vision I saw myself as the 12 disciples were stoning me and persecuting me severely, and I also came to the place where, after you, I saw a house, and my eyes could not comprehend its size. Great people were surrounding it, and that house had a roof of greenery, and in the middle of the house was a crowd," 2 lines missing, "saying, 'Master, take me in along with these people.' Jesus answered and said, 'Judas, your star has led you astray.' He continued, 'No person of mortal birth is worthy to enter the house you have seen. For that place is reserved for the holy. Neither the sun nor the moon will rule there, nor the day, but the holy will abide there always, in the eternal realm with the holy angels. Look, I have explained to you the mysteries of the kingdom, and I have taught you about the era of stars, and ascended on the 12 eons, 12 ages, eras." Judas asked about his own fate. Judas said, "Master, could it be that my seed is under the control of the rulers?" The seed is the spiritual part of the person, the spark of the divine within, and collectively the offspring of those who come from the divine. Thus, in Sethian texts, Gnostics can be called the seed or offspring of Seth. In the Bible, it's referring to the Word of God. When you read it continually, that seed is nurtured and it grows and it blooms through God's grace and mercy, the power of the Holy Spirit, etc. And it produces good fruit that you can share with others. Jesus said, "Master, could it be that my seed is under the control of the rulers, or the authorities, or archons?" Here and in subsequent texts, that is the rulers of this world, especially the cosmic powers who collaborate with the demiurge. This clause may also be translated, "that my seed subdues the rulers." Jesus answered and said to him, "Come, that I," 2 lines missing, but that you will grieve much when you see the kingdom and all its generation. When he heard this, Judas said to him, What good is that if I have received it? For you have set me apart for that generation. Jesus answered and said, You will become the 13th. On Judas as the 13th, compare Gospel of Judas 44, where Judas is said to be the 13th spirit or demon. And you will be cursed by the other generations, and you will come to rule over them. On the last day they will curse your ascent to the holy generation. On Judas being cursed, compare the assessments of Judas in Matthew 26, 20 to 25, 27 to 3, 10, verse 27, 3 to 10, Mark 14, 17 to 21, and so forth. Here it is suggested that Judas is despised by the other disciples, but he is to be exalted over them as the preeminent disciple. Jesus teaches Judas about cosmology, the spirit, and the self-centered. Jesus said, Come, that I may teach you about secrets no person has ever seen, for there exists a great and boundless realm, whose extent no generation of angels has seen, in which there is a great invisible spirit, which no eye of an angel has ever seen, no thought of the heart has ever comprehended, and it was never called by any name. Compare 1 Corinthians 2:9, Gospel of Thomas 17, prayer of the Apostle Paul. A. The parallel text in the Valentinian prayer of the Apostle Paul is close to part of the formulation of the Gospel of Judas. Grant what eyes of angels have not seen, what ears of rulers have not heard, and what has not arisen in the human heart, which became angelic, made in the image of the animate God, when it was formatted in the beginning. Cosmos, chaos, and the underworld. And it goes into various different subjects. And it gets a bit funny here. It says the ruler and angels, the 12 rulers spoke with the 12 angels, let each of you, and let them, generation, one line lost, angels. First is Seth, who is called Christ. And note here 1:16. Here as in other Christian Sethian texts, Christ is described as the manifestation of Seth in this world. In Holy Book of the Great Invisible Spirit 3:63-64, the text refers to the incorruptible one, conceived by the word Logos, the living Jesus, with whom great Seth has been clothed. The three forms of first thought. 50. The word or Logos declares, I put on Jesus, I carried him from the accursed wood, the cross, and established him in the dwelling places of his Father. Compare Gospel of Judas 56. It gets a bit strange here. Like, instead of saying that Christ or God and the Christ said to, or Son of God said to the angels, let us create a human being after the likeness and after the image. After us, right? It's got here, Saklas said to his angels, let us create a human being after the likeness and after the image. They fashioned Adam and his wife Eve, who is called in the cloud Zoe. Zoe, Greek for life, is the name of Eve in the Septuagint. For by this name all generations seek the man, and each of them calls the woman by these names. Now Sakla did not command except the generations. This, and the ruler said to Adam, you shall live long with your children. Yeah, it's getting a bit strange here. Conclusion. Judas betrays Jesus. The high priest murmured because he had gone into the guest room for his prayer, but some scribes were there watching carefully in order to arrest him during the prayer, for they were afraid of the people, since he was regarded by all as a prophet. They approached Judas and said to him, "What are you doing here? You are Jesus' disciple." Judas answered them as they wished, and he received some money and handed him over to them. The conclusion of the Gospel is a footnote here, 150. Compare Matthew 26:14-16. The conclusion of the Gospel of Judas is presented in subtle and understated terms, and there is no account of the actual crucifixion of Jesus. Here, the wording of the titular subscript is not the Gospel according to Judas, as in the case in most Gospel texts, but the Gospel of Judas. It is possible that the title means to suggest that this is the Gospel of good news about Judas and the place of Judas in the tradition. What he accomplished, the text concludes, is not bad news, but good news for Judas and for all who would come after Judas and Jesus. And this is the story of Codex Arcos and the Gospel of Judas by Rodolphe Casser. He did had a cry when he saw it for the first time. On the evening of July 24th, 2001, the object is very embarrassed visitors and brought for him to examine. It was still a completely unknown cultural document at this date, with such a powerful text and yet written on material so frail, so sickly in appearance, so close to ultimate extinction. The Papyrus Codex, written in Coptic, more than 1600 years old, had been damaged by so many misfortunes, many of which could have been avoided. It was a stark victim of cupidity and ambition. His cry was provoked by the striking vision of the object so precious but so badly mistreated, broken up to the extreme, partially pulverized, infinitely fragile, crumbling at the least contact. The ancient book, to which was later to be given the name Codex to Hakos, was that evening a poor small thing pitifully packed at the bottom of a cardboard box. How it was possible that such vandalism could occur at the dawn of the 21st century? How could this have happened in a milieu, one of art merchants, well known for the gentleness of its methods and careful work, or worse yet, in an environment even more noble and honourable, the world of scholarship? And he continues. Very interesting book. And it goes further into the history when they found or given this particular book, lost book, his Gnostic book, and so forth. Okay, we might leave it there. If you liked this video, though short and sweet, hopefully, subscribe to our channel and give us a like. Add your comments below the video, and we'll leave a link to it at the bottom of this video so that you can go and read it yourself and come to your own conclusions. Now, don't forget to subscribe to us, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, add your comments below, and we'll get back to you on those as soon as we can. And then go share it with all your family, friends and others. You go, what? The Gospel of Thomas? Never heard of it. Must be fake.